Hey everybody, welcome to the tour of my ambulance RV conversion. This is a 1992 Ford E350 with the 7.3 IDI naturally aspirated Ford diesel. We'll start up in the front right here. I use this space for tool storage. I have some fluids in here, like extra transmission fluid, a couple pints and quarts of oil, and some auto socks, which are these little, basically chain replacements, DOT chain replacements that take about a minute to put on each tire. Incredible. Had these up in the mountains through passes, and like up at Mount Baker, we got 105 inches in 8 days, and it was just Armageddon. This thing trucked through some really heavy snow with these things, so that was really cool. But yeah, kind of the tool gear storage, whatever you want to make it. Got a bottle jack, and this is my power cord for what I can show you where that plugs in on the other side in a bit here. Yeah, so there's storage area number one. Battery compartment is right here. So there's a pull-out drawer that has two 850 CCA batteries in parallel to get this thing cranked over in the winter. Back here is a pretty sweet slide-out drawer. I had my generator on here so that I could just easy access Honda 1000 for powering up the house power bank. This is one of the outside storage areas that you can access from underneath the bed. Kept that in there when I did the build. This is actually our shoe locker, so if you had any shoes that are a little smelly, you can put them underneath there. External power that runs off the inverter. Over here is kind of the fuel station, I would say. So I had a 20-pound propane tank here that hooks through a line up to the inlet for your camp stove. We chose to go that route because we didn't want to have something permanently taking up counter space. It was nice to be able to remove the stove and paint or whatever we wanted to do. This is external water storage, so I have two jugs that are 7 gallons each as auxiliary water, and then there's one in underneath the sink. So you have 21 gallons total of water, and then 5 gallons of gray water. I can talk about that more when I get inside. This is the diesel heater fuel tank here. It runs out of this compartment into the middle where the diesel heater is. I'll show you that next. Our last storage area on the outside here is one of my favorite parts. This is kind of our wetsuit storage. We would sometimes put snowboards and skis. I mean, I can stand in this thing. I'm 6'1", and I have plenty of room over my head, but I would store leashes and a little bit of wax on here that I couldn't get off, but this is actually an outlet for the diesel heater that fills this entire area with warm air, and we would dry our wetsuits out in between sessions, or put ski gear in here so you don't have wet sopping ski gear on the inside in your sleeping area to kind of conserve space. And it was an absolute luxury. I will have this in every camper that I have for the rest of my life. A cabinet just like this. This is the power bank here. 3 100 amp hour lithium batteries in parallel. We go through a main fuse here. There's an on-off switch. Use all Blue Sea Systems fuses and the switch. And then this is all Victron products in here, top to bottom. So here's your bus bar. We got 4-aught cable. So everything is up to code, up to spec. This is a 3,000 watt inverter, up to 5,000 if you have external power source running as well. We had an air fryer in here, we had a microwave, and this thing powered everything that we wanted. So this thing is kind of a beast of a unit. The MultiPlus is a really cool unit itself. It's a charger and an inverter. So up here, this is the plug-in for shore power. So that yellow cord that I was telling you about earlier, that screws on here, and then I'd run it either to my generator and have a little converter from 30 amp down to 15 amp for your house or for the generator. Or you can plug it right into your house, or if you're at a campsite and they have 30 amp service, you can plug it in there. So this next part here, we have the charge controller. It's a 30 amp charge controller. This is going to be what's receiving your 400 watts of solar on the roof. I have two 200 watt panels, and down below is the DC to DC charger. So whenever the vehicle is on, these batteries are receiving power from the alternator. It's a 165 amp alternator. So actually, if you wanted to, you could add 2 more DC to DC chargers in here for extra power pulling off the alternator, for if you don't want to run a generator and you just want to start the vehicle up, something like that. But that's great. So if we run a really long drive, that gives us a good amount of power back to these batteries. So this is kind of the trifecta. You have shore power availability, you have solar, and then you have driving DC to DC charging while the vehicle is on. That's kind of the trifecta, something that you want to have in every good camper. Here we have the fuse box. These are for all the inside outlets. This is the AC side, so plugging in your microwave, plugging in your air fryer, whatever you want to get up to, that's where those fuses are. And then these are all labeled. There's plenty of room for extra stuff if you want to wire more, but these are all for the DC side. Here we have trash, which I'll show you the inside. There's a trash chute that you drop through the countertop, so that kind of keeps all your trash out of your living space. I really enjoyed that. And then here's the diesel heater. This diesel heater is the Espar Airtronic D2, so it's the name brand German unit. Everything that I used in here was top of the line stuff. I've seen a lot of really shoddy builds, and something that I really wanted to focus on was good power, good heat, and the absolute necessities, so you didn't have to question whether you're going to be comfortable out there. I did the duct work for the diesel heater to have a little switch here, so you can switch it from venting inside the cab, or you can switch it to this cabinet back over there, where you have your wetsuits and stuff like that. So you can also split it 50-50, which is usually how I would run it, but in the dead of winter you force it all inside of the ambulance itself. One thing that I wanted to make sure was these batteries do have heating capabilities. That's the H here. They have heating pads in between the cells. So these lithium batteries do not charge at below 32 degrees. The BMS in there make sure of that, but when you have your diesel heater running, I have the exhaust routed to go underneath the batteries themselves. And so that gives off extra heat that comes through and keeps these batteries warm from below. So you have the extra heater pads inside, and then you have the hot exhaust from the diesel heater running below that's keeping everything warm. And this is allowing me to monitor every single one of those pieces outside. So you have your battery monitor, you can tell the current voltage that's coming through it. Charging with 20 amps off of the alternator currently because the vehicle's on. You have your multi-plus inverter, it's currently on. I'll go in and just quickly turn that off, so I don't need that anymore. And so you can remotely do that from inside without having to go outside and turn a switch on and off. You have your DC to DC charger. It tells you if it's on or off. That automatically turns on when the vehicle turns on. It has a parameter set in there. And then you have your solar. So I like clicking on the solar one and kind of getting an idea like, okay, I'm pulling in 43 watts right now. We're underneath some trees above us. It's a very cloudy day, so we're still getting some solar. You can tell the temperature of the batteries. They're currently at 55 degrees. Your history, so yesterday it was a little bit sunnier, still very like overcast most of the day. We got 460 watt hours. During the summer months, like here we had 1,000 we had 1 kilowatt, so we had 1,000 watts gained that day. Yeah, this is definitely a really cool feature in the van here. It was really nice to have eyes on when we're in the vehicle and not have to install a bunch of stuff in here and come over and look at the wall or go out and check on everything out in the cabinet. You have the Bluetooth app and you just check on it on your phone. along with redoing the rear struts, the rear shocks on this thing, when I went in there and did that, I also put in airbags. So right here we have the ability to air up and air down your airbag. So what that did was, ambulances are very heavy and top heavy at that, so it really stabilized the rear end, especially on corners and in high winds. And if you plan on towing, you can bump that up to as high as you need. I usually run them both at about 40 psi and do a good job of checking that pretty regularly so those things don't get too low, especially with the change of cold air and stuff like that. Another thing that I wanted to highlight is the brake controller here. This is for your trailer hitch, so if you decide to tow something heavier, this is super nice to have. We never ended up towing with this vehicle. We had a bike rack on the hitch, but that was about it. But yeah, it's fully set up and ready for towing. So in here we have the cab area. Here's the driver's helm. I have an on-off switch here, Blue Sea Systems, for that front panel to turn it on and off. Some storage. Here you have voltage and amperage. This panel is currently not hooked up, so none of these buttons work, but at least you have voltage and current amperage. So up top here on the roof rack, we have the spare tire. We have the two 200-watt solar panels, the MaxxAir roof fan, and one thing that I really wanted was to maximize storage and the ability to put surfboards on here. So we had this aluminum roof rack custom welded. It's 7 feet wide, so we had our Thule box right here that actually didn't even go over the top of the solar panels at all, so we didn't lose any solar gains from that. For most of our travels, we had 8 surfboards on this roof, 2 of them being over 9-foot longboards. Come on in the inside, I'll show you how the build out was all created. So we'll go around the room clockwise here. This countertop, my uncle and I made this out of cedar. This is all handmade. Along with building this countertop, I really wanted to have the trash be out of the living space, just in case you had anything smelling you couldn't get to a trash. So we ended up creating a hole so you can just drop your trash into that trash can that I showed you earlier. That's out in the electrical cabinet, and that way it's an outside access, get rid of everything, keep the smells contained in there if you do have anything. So that was a really fun feature. We put in a drawer here for all of your kitchen utensils. I had cast iron pan right there, as you can see. Built all these drawers. There used to be a jump seat here. There used to be cabinetry here. I removed that. Put in this window here. This window was a game changer for the natural light in this ambulance. It is a beautiful thing. I had many mornings up at Mount Baker watching the sunrise come over Mount Shuckson. This is the backsplash. We did this tile backsplash, not actually tile, but we really like the black pattern here. This is your cooking space. This is the inlet from your 20-pound propane that I was talking about outside. We use a Eureka camp stove here. Really liked that system because we could move it out of the way and get up to whatever we wanted on the countertop, as countertop space is limited in any van and camper build, so we wanted to definitely do that. This is kind of just extra snack room, whatever, storage. We put our whiskey bottles and wine bottles underneath here. That's kind of our bar area. Plenty of storage for all of your dry goods. This is the temperature monitor for the diesel heater. This is something that I didn't mount, specifically because it's on a thermostat system. The thermostat's here on the wall. If you wanted to run the diesel heater on high all the time, you could put this right next to the window, so it'd trick it into running on full speed. Or you could have it clipped up here and get a little bit more ambient temperature reading and mitigate the temperature just how you wanted. So that's something that I keep just stored in here in the summertime too, kind of out of the way. More dry goods storage, whatever you wanted. This is our spice rack area. So we had all of our spices ready to go while we're cooking, chefing up. More storage here. You have plugins over here. Back across, we put our air fryer usually about here and plug the air fryer in there. That runs off the inverter, like I said. This is where the diesel heater heat comes into the van. This is an Iceco dual zone fridge freezer. This thing was an absolute beast. Had no problems with it for 2 years. I think this is an 85 liter fridge, so we had plenty of space for pulling out our sauces and whatever you want to keep in there. We made some margaritas at the beach with this, had ice in here, had ice cream on the go. This is an 85 liter fridge, so we had plenty of space for pulling out our sauces and whatever you want to keep in there. We made some margaritas at the beach with this, had ice in here, had ice cream on the go. Felt like an absolute luxury from all the camping experience I've had before. We have more storage up here. Storage down here. This is where we kept our kept the potty. Just a 5-gallon bucket with a lid. This will not be included. You're gonna have to buy your own. They're $20. And this closet here holds all of the existing electrical systems from 1992. We took out some of the systems that were in place. There used to be a seat right here that held the original inverter and shore power charger and stuff like that. I had taken that all out and put this fridge there. It was a waste of space and made it a lot more spacious in here, but this is the original racks. There's a booklet here with all of the wiring diagrams so you can decide for yourself whether you want to take stuff out or leave it in, rewire. There's plenty of space. One sweet thing about ambulances is the ability to have the pass-through, so you can go access the cab just by walking through. It's nice for when you pull up to a spot and you're trying to be a little bit incognito. You don't have to go outside and set up shop. You can just come through here. If you want to keep the heat inside your living room area and not out in your cab, you can actually pull this shut. One of the beautiful parts about this too is we went with top of the line 20 mil wear layer LVP plank flooring, and this stuff is a Vericore product. It is top of the line. It's beautiful. It's very durable for van life. I mean, you have a lot of things coming in and out here, whether it be surfboards, snowboards, just gear thrown on the floor. We transported a full cord of wood one time out camping with my friends in here. It's got plenty of space and it's durable. As you can see, it's held up very well over the last 2 years of full-time living in here. We've got some leaves floating in. It's a windy day up here in the Northland. So here's your sink space. We have a 15 by 15 bar sink here. We have a full hot water, cold water plumbing setup. This is a Gasland water heater, so it runs off of a 5-pound propane tank. We have your water, your fresh water here. There's a disconnect. I'll kind of bring it out in the open so you can kind of see what's going on, but there's a quick disconnect here. So you just pop that off, take your jug out, unscrew this. There's your water pickup, so you can go get those other 2 jugs outside, swap it out on the fly. This gray water tank is 5 gallons. And one of my favorite things about the build is being able to open the door here, grab your shower head, put it up on the door, and take a nice hot water shower when you're out in nature. And that was a beautiful thing to be able to be clean when you're out in the middle of nowhere and off the grid. Here we have the MaxxAir 7500K fan. This can be run when it's raining, when it's snowing, as long as there's clearance and you're not hitting a big snow pile above. This thing was a game changer for airflow in here. Crack the window and have that. You have good cross ventilation coming in here. This can be run as forcing air in or sucking air out. More storage up here. Right here I had my guitar actually propped up, my full acoustic. This strapped it onto itself through there, and it was amazing to have my guitar. Here's a on-off for the dimmer lighting. There's these little fairy light style that run all the way around. They're battery powered there, and it's nice just to have some dim light that's not right in your face like these big ones. This bed flips down, the platform flips down into a 2-person bed, so it comes up to about here. And underneath here we got a drawer for extra clothes storage, another drawer for extra clothes storage, and then underneath you can access that from if you want to get bigger items out and not pull your drawer. You can also access that shoe cubby from underneath here. So we have the legs for the bed. Usually just move the couch right out of the way, screw these in real quick. And then you have yourself a super comfortable spot for 2 people to get cozy, or 1 person spaciously. What a view of the parking lot. What can I say? It was really a treat in Southern California to pop the doors open at the beach, one of our favorite spots there, and watch the surf roll in the morning, cook some breakfast, have the beautiful ocean air coming through here, and just kind of waking up slow. It's a beautiful space, so I really hope you enjoyed the tour, and thanks for coming along.